How to analyze your Facebook ads and turn this data into actionable insight that you can apply within your business and within your ad account. According to a study, only 17% of marketers know and find it easy to turn data into actionable insights. Therefore, I wanted to record this video, and by the end of this video, you will have a clear framework and overview of how to turn data into actionable insights that you can then implement within your ad account and across your whole brand. So without any further ado, let's hop straight into it. Hey everybody, and welcome back to a new video here on my channel. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Victor and I am the founder of Victory Media, a boutique Facebook marketing agency that works with e-commerce brands to help them scale their revenues with Facebook ads. And in today's video, I wanted to talk about how to turn data into actionable insights to implement and apply into your ad account as well as throughout different areas within your brand. And before we hop into, kind of data and what type of story data usually tells you and what to take out of this story and how to implement it and apply within your strategy, I wanted to clarify what this video is not. Okay, so this video is not a live ad account analysis or like we have run this test or this kind of creative and we've gotten back this feedback and this is what we're doing right now. Okay, I will create a video like that, or I have maybe already uploaded a video like that depending on when this video will go live. About that, where I actually take you within my ad account and talk about a particular creative test that I have launched. However, for right now, I wanted to give you a framework that you can apply not only to 1 or 2 or 3 tests, but across all your data and particularly to your Facebook ads data, right? Because I'm always a really big proponent of giving you strategies instead of tactics, because strategies you can apply also in a year, 2 years from now, and not only on Facebook, but also maybe your Google ads, TikTok ads, or whatsoever data. And I really want to, teach you and make you understand the underlying principles instead of just general tactics that may be applicable to that particular scenario, but you will be struggling with the next one. So having that said, and wanting to give you an underlying framework that you can apply throughout your whole brand, I wanted to make sure that you understand one thing, and that if you take out one thing from this video, then this is that, and that is data always tells a story, right? Ultimately, the things that are within your ads manager are just kind of it's just Facebook giving you back how consumers and your target audience engaged with your ad creative, with your product, with your brand in general. Okay, so it's nothing more, nothing less. It's then up to you, the media buyer, the brand owner, the marketing manager, to interpret this data and understand the data, the story that is telling you the data, and how to then apply and implement that data and actually take an actionable insight and kind of a learning out of that and apply that going forward and implementing that into your next creative test, for example. So let's hop into my computer for you to see, okay, what are the data points that we evaluate in order to understand this data story, and in order to interpret that data properly and take an actionable insight out of that. So here we are within my computer, and I've laid out the metrics that we are taking a look at in order to let this data tell us a story about our Facebook ads and our ad creative and what works and what doesn't, right? And we start off with our attention rate. That is our thumb stop ratio, meaning how many people that we've delivered our ads to actually stay with our video ad creative for longer than 3 seconds. So that is the first kind of metric that we take a look at. Afterwards, we then want to see, okay, how many people are clicking through our ad and actually think, okay, hey, this is interesting. I want to know more about this product and, brand, and I want to click through this ad. And then, how many of those people that have actively taken a decision and made a decision of like, hey, I want to know more about that. How many of them actually ended up buying with us and then, ended up purchasing with us, which will then lead to this cost per purchase column. So with that being said, those are the 4 metrics that we take a look at. And ultimately, cost per purchase is just the outcome of those 3 different metrics, right? How many people are paying attention? How many people are then going ahead and wanting to know more about the product? And of those people, how many actually convert with us? Meaning, in order to affect this particular metric, you want to always take a look at those first 3 components. So all of this is also based upon a really age-old marketing formula called AIDA, which is attention, interest, desire, and action. It's almost like a funnel, right? So you first want to gather, and gain awareness of your product and your brand or your product and your ad, essentially, right? Then how many of those people actually pay interest and want to know more about this product, and the interest is spiked? And how many desire and really want to have this product in their hands and want to try it out and want to give it a chance? And then ultimately this leads to this ultimate action. So this is kind of the first thing, and always what you want to have in mind is that cost per purchase trumps everything, right? So for example, we could, really always try to improve our attention rate whatsoever, but if we see a really great cost per purchase right here, but a low attention rate, but a high interest, for example, and a really good conversion rate, then obviously this is a creative that we want to go for. It doesn't matter that there's super low attention rate right there. This might be an iterative test that we can do, but more on that later. However, rule of thumb is that a great attention rate times a great interest times great desire equals great action, right? So if you have a great thumbs up ratio, meaning you do a great job with your creative to actually grab somebody's interest and stop the scroll and actually make them pay attention to your ad, to your product, and to your brand, and then also convert that attention into a genuine interest to know more about the product and understand, okay, what is in it for me? I want to know more about, okay, how can this benefit me, or like, how can this benefit my life, or this is actually something that I've been looking for. And if you have done this, great, and then also convert those people on your side because you've really built up to that action, and people are actually taking an action, meaning they have a great conversion rate. Then this usually leads to a great outcome, which is a great and profitable cost per purchase. So as I said, those three first metrics really determine the outcome of this, last metric, which is, your cost per purchase. Meaning if you have a problem, or if you have a cost per purchase that is not profitable for you, or that is off target, it is caused by one of those three different components, which is either your thumbs up rate, your interest rate, or meaning your click-through rate, or your conversion rate, right? So data always tells a story, and in this story, everything turns out great, right? But what happens if, for example, we have a poor conversion rate? So, we have a great attention rate. We do a great job actually analyzing or grabbing somebody's attention from our target audience, meaning people are paying attention to our video, our ad creative, and they also want to know more about our product, so they click through. But ultimately, from this traffic that is clicking through our ad, only a really low percentage of people convert. This usually leads then to a really bad or poor action rate as well, meaning not a lot of people will convert with you, not a lot of people will check out with you, which will then ultimately lead to a bad return on your advertising dollars. So what are the things that you can do and that you should test? And based on this story that your data tells you, what are the things and the takeaways that you can implement going into the future, and what are the things that you should launch and test to improve your action, your desire, your conversion rate? So let's hop straight into that. So in my opinion, there are three things that I would test right out of the way, or that this kind of data tells me, and that is the story that this data tells me. Because if I have a low conversion rate, there are essentially three things that could lead to this, missing conversion rate. And that is first, poor traffic, right? It could be that your traffic is just not really, qualified. They're not really interested. It is a low intent traffic. And people just do not really convert with you because it is, they're not really qualified to buy with you. However, if you have built your ad account based upon the principles that I'm preaching on this YouTube channel right here, and you are having a broad structure and you're making sure that your campaigns are always conversion focused and optimized, then this is honestly something that you do not really have to worry about when it comes to Facebook ads. The second part, or the second question or the second problem that I see a lot more often happening within ad accounts is that an ad misleads people and does not really align with the actual USPs. Let's just take the example that you within your ad claim that you're going to give every email subscriber €1,000 right out of the gate, right? obviously if you really convey that and if you have that messaging angle within your ad, odds are you are going to have a great click-through rate. People are going to click through your ad because they're thinking they're going to get $1,000 just in exchange of their email. But ultimately, odds are you're not going to be running that offer, and probably you're going to then communicate that within your lander, and you're going to say, hey, you know what, actually we're not going to give you €1,000 when you sign up to our email list, but hey, we have this and that. That is obviously a really extreme example, but there you would have misled people, and they've clicked through an ad that ultimately does not really align with the offer that you are portraying and that you have available on your lander, or that you are trying to sell to them, right? So that is, obviously an extreme, and you can go a lot more micro and a lot more conservative with that, meaning you are saying that for example, your skincare product really goes ahead and is for acne scars, and for people in their 20s that are struggling with acne, but then you drop them off on a product page that is for skincare, or like a product for skincare for older women and for like older folks, right? And again, this would then lead to, even if you have a great ad that actually communicates and really plays into and conveys a lot of things that there is a target audience that is struggling with that. If you then go ahead and drop those people off on a completely unrelated offer, obviously not a lot of people will convert into that because they have been led onto that offer based on a different set of values and different set of features and different set of potential solutions that they want to get. So that's the second thing. It misleads people and does not align with the actual USPs, right? And then the third point is poor website and checkout experience, right? So just not really having a website that is conversion focused, having problems within your checkout is often a case that I see, especially when it comes to brands that are not really operating on the Shopify ecosystem. So that is the third thing. So going back to this equation, you can see that, okay, you have a great attention rate, a great interest, but then like a great attention rate, you have a great click-through rate, but your conversion rate is not really there, which ultimately then leads to that low action rate. Meaning, this is just the story that is being displayed within your ad account, right? You have a great click-through rate, a great thumb-stop scroller, a thumb-stop ratio, but people are just not converting. So what are the insights that you can take off of that, right? Poor traffic might be an issue if you have set up your campaigns in a different way with a traffic campaign objective, for example, or something along those lines. But if you've set up your campaigns like I am always preaching you to do so, like, conversion optimized, broad structure, yada, 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 that is something that you can kind of exclude for now, right? You then want to go ahead and take a look again at your creative and see, okay, like, is it misleading people? Is it going ahead, and what type of actionable insight can I get from the creative, right? How can I switch up the creative for it to be a little bit more aligned with our USPs and actually qualify better people? Or last but not least, take a look at your website. What are the things that, that might put a, hurdle into your consumer's journey to check out with you and your brand? So, and ultimately all of those are issues where you want to focus only on your conversion rate, right? That is your drop off. I always look at brands and their metrics and their KPIs through the lens of drop-offs, right? Where of those three different variables that then actually lead to our desired end results, where is actually our drop-off happening? Right now, this is happening on the conversion rate end of things. So it does not really make sense for you to test your hooks or to test your, like your sequencing or your angle to a certain degree. Maybe you would want to, kind of test your angle if you think that is actually something that aligns more with your USPs. But ultimately, you want to focus only on your conversion rate. That is your drop-off. So now we've talked about the first story framework that, in my opinion, you should really note down. If you aren't taking notes right now, really make sure that you have it either really saved in your mind and really taken a mental note, or that you've actually jotted it down on a notepad. And that is, if you have a great attention rate, meaning a thumbs up ratio, and a great click-through rate, but your conversion rate is not really there where you want to have it, right? Those are the 3 actionable insights that I would always go ahead. And there when you really kind of narrow it down then and really isolate the problem, you will quickly then have 10, 15 tests that you can launch, right? Either from a website perspective or from a, USP perspective, like from an ad creative USP perspective, meaning what type of messaging and kind of features you use and convey within your ads messaging in order to kind of decrease that drop off and make sure that your conversion rate is better than before and is actually improving. So let's take a look at a different story. Here we have a different story, right? We have a poor attention rate, meaning people are not necessarily paying a lot of attention to you, but the people that are actually click through your ad fairly often, and they also convert super well, meaning your ad is doing great, your website is doing great, but you just do have to do a better job at grabbing the people's and your target audience's attention. Usually this is the lowest kind of from an importance standpoint. Poor attention is the easiest to fix and the one that has the least importance for your ultimate action rate, which is the reason why you will then still probably have an average action rate, but by then testing your hooks and making sure that you're grabbing more people's attention and more of your target audience's attention, you will convert this average action rate to a really, really great action rate. And therefore, what I would do first there is really go ahead and test more hooks and understand what grabs the target audience's attention. Just as a little caveat, usually what I then try always to go ahead and do in those first 3 seconds, if I see, okay, the attention rate is actually lacking within an ad account, but our click-through rate is doing good, our traffic is qualified and converting, I usually go for 3 different type of hooks. Which is first, desired end result, displaying in the first 3 seconds, current problem that they're struggling with as the second type of hook, or something really kind of satisfying. I don't know why, but having something satisfying in the beginning of your video usually does really great. Something at least that is to a certain degree still associated with your product. If you, for example, have Dr. Squash is doing a great, job there. They are selling, natural soap, and they're always kind of then having some kind of really satisfying, cutting off their soap, scrub soap, that I think probably works super, super well for them. So you want to really go ahead and test your first 3 seconds there. Test your hooks and understand what what kind of grabs your target audience's attention. Now, the last story that I want to, share with you in terms of what type of story your data tells you is having a poor interest rate, meaning having a poor click-through rate. I know I've been using those words interchangeably: desire and conversion rate, interest and click-through rate, attention and thumb stop ratio. Sorry for that. Thumb stop ratio. But this is kind of the third story, because there are, in my opinion, 3 major stories that data always tells you. Either you're lacking in, grabbing your target audience's attention, you're lacking in actually spiking their interest and making them understand that your product can actually help them, or in converting them into loyal and paying customers. So the last one is something that I also see kind of often. Probably great attention is something that I see not as often, kind of poor attention is something that I see not as often, because as I said, that is either then completely disregarded by the brand and they think like, oh, okay, we have a normal or average action rate. It could be better, but it's all right. Or they, it's just an easy fix to a certain degree. So this is, again, a story that I see happening a lot more often, where they are lacking a good click-through rate. And here you go again. You have a great attention rate. You're doing a great job grabbing your target audience's attention, but then people are just not clicking through. But the people that are clicking through, they are at least really qualified and they buy with you. But still, your cost of traffic will be super, super high, which will then ultimately to a poor action rate and not necessarily a good return on your advertising dollars. So there are 3 things that I would really go ahead and test, and that this particular data hierarchy tells me. The first one is test your hooks to actually grab the attention of qualified traffic. So this is a big one that I see a lot of brands doing. They have understood the importance of a hook in the first 3 seconds of your video, but then they think, okay, let's just kind of hack the game and make something clickbaity and really go ahead and skyrocket that attention and thumbs up ratio, but that ultimately attracts people that are not necessarily super qualified to buy with you, neither to click through your ad. And after those 3 seconds, just a lot of people will drop off. A lot of people think like, hey, this is actually not really what I sign up for. I just rather want to scroll my feed. So that is the first actionable insight that I would take from this data story, right? I see, okay, I have a great attention rate. We have a hook ratio of 40% whatsoever, but actually not a people are clicking through. The first kind of outcome or actionable insight that I would take from that is, okay, what kind of hooks are we using right now that, actually grab somebody's attention, but then they're not interested in clicking through our video or our ad and know more about our product, because odds are, that we're just grabbing the wrong people's attention. So that's the first thing, first actionable insight. The second one is then test better messaging and general creative concepts to convey your USPs, right? So it might be that you are actually grabbing the right people's attention, and that you're not just having some clickbaity first 3 seconds or something that grabs somebody's attention, but is super generic and doesn't really grab anybody's attention, but everybody's, right? So then, that if this is given, you've checked this and, maybe you've tested a couple of hooks whatsoever, and then you still do think like, okay, no, this is something else, then the next thing that I would do is test different messaging, right? A different angle, a different, set of features, a different set of benefits that you could get out of your product in order to really convey, okay, and hitting those pain points and hitting those, features that your target audience might be striving for, right? So this is the second actionable insight that I would then take from this type of data story that, that the ads manager is essentially telling me, right? And then last but not least, it is, give them more of an incentive to click now. That is something that is rather, more of a, 10 to 20% increase than 50 to 100, but sometimes it can really make or break the particular performance of that ad account and that ad creative, and that is giving them more of an incentive to click now and not later, which usually is never. So, making sure that you convey why they should click now instead of thinking, yeah, that is kind of cool, that is interesting, yeah, I would like that, but then just continue to scroll. Really make sure in an authentic way, give them a reason why they should click now. This could be done, for example, with a limited product drop, right? This could be done with, really emphasizing that this is an urgent problem that they need to solve, right? As well as making sure that they have some kind of scarcity or urgency behind this particular offer and your brand, and giving them more of an incentive to buy now. So those were the 3 data stories that I wanted to share with you that I most often see within ad accounts, right? Because those are the 3 components that actually lead to your cost per purchase and your action rate, which is, okay, how many people are you able to grab the attention from, right? And actually make sure that they stop the scroll and spend some more time with your ad creative, with your brand, and with your product, on how many of those people are then actually clicking through, and of those, click-throughs of those clicks, how many people are actually converting, right? So there are several things that then kind of you can take an actual insight out of that, but isolating your problem, narrowing it down, and not thinking of hey, okay, I have that cost per purchase problem right now, I kind of want to have it in a different way, and just focusing on that metric, which is ultimately an outcome of a completely different set of metric, is not going to get you anywhere. So in order to make an actionable insight from your data, you want to go ahead and actually isolate your product problem first. Is it my attention rate? Is it my click-through rate? Is it my conversion rate? And from there, you then want to take it a step further. Okay, is it my conversion rate? Am I misleading people? Am I telling people something in the ad creative that is not really aligned with my offer, or is it actually something that is wrong with my website? And then go ahead and take a look at those different things, right? Take a look at your ad creative that is lacking in conversion rate. Take a look at your, landing page that is, where you drop people off that are not converting that well, and think about, okay, how can I change this to be maybe more, aligned with just generally the set of features that that I'm sharing and that I'm portraying within the ad. So ultimately, data always tells a story, but Facebook or Google Analytics or whoever, There's nothing more, none of the analytics platforms out there, there's nothing more en masse than just showing you the data, and it's up to you to interpret it. So hopefully this kind of framework and those 3 different scenarios have given you a little bit better of an overview of how to interpret the data and actually, make an actionable insight and take away from that, and then, kind of building up some tests out of that based on this on this data. I think this is something that a lot of people are just not really seeing that way of like, okay, where's the drop off? And I think it is really valuable to understand that. So on that note, thank you for watching. I hope this was valuable, and I hope that you can implement that in your ad account or across your brand going into the future. If you want to know more about how to grow your brand with Facebook ads and understand how to scale your Facebook ads profitably and what creatives you should use, how to interpret your data, then every Thursday there's a new video coming from me talking about this nitty-gritty stuff and strategies. So make sure to hit the subscribe button, hit the thumbs up button if you like this video, and I guess I'll be looking forward to seeing you in the next video. See you there.